There's another possible solution to the resurrection mystery. Maybe Jesus really was dead, but somebody moved the body. Then, when it couldn't be found, some excitable idiot started proclaiming that it was a miracle and Jesus was alive again, and everybody started believing it. Could that be an answer? Well, the question you really have to ask is, who moved the body? Obviously, the authorities didn't have it. Both the Jewish leaders and the Roman governor wanted this affair over and done with. They certainly didn't want rumours about miraculous resurrections floating around upsetting the peace in Jerusalem. If they had possessed the body, they would have produced it and squashed the rumours. Their great embarrassment was that they didn't have a clue where the corpse was. The best they could do was to bribe the guards to come up with a story that the followers of Jesus pinched it while we were asleep. A story people saw through immediately, and nobody believed even then. Okay, did the disciples have it then? No, they didn't. It's impossible for 3 reasons. First, they would have had to break into the tomb past the guards and somehow get Jesus' body away. The rock tomb had only one exit, the front, which was guarded, and the tomb was on the edge of the city, surrounded by houses at a hot time of year when people traditionally slept outside overnight. It was the Passover weekend, the one time of year when no Jew was allowed to touch a dead body. If anybody had been awake in the night and caught sight of a bunch of Jews shuffling along and carrying a dead body, they would have remembered. The disciples would never have got away with it. Second, the disciples were scared stiff anyway. When Jesus was arrested, they all ran away and left him. But shortly afterwards, they all had a new confidence, a strange certainty, and they were telling anybody who would listen that Jesus was alive. What had happened to change them? Now the authorities could throw them into prison, and they wouldn't care. They just kept telling the story. Could it possibly have been that they believed it was really true? Third, they continued doing this to the end of their lives. And the end of their lives was rather messy. Only one of them died in bed. The rest were persecuted, imprisoned, tortured, crucified and beheaded, but they never backed down on their story. If they had known that the whole thing was a hoax, that they had staged a fake resurrection to fool people, would they have stuck to their claim like this? I don't think so. There's one more possibility which people have raised, that maybe grave robbers broke into the tomb and stole the body. It's certainly true that there were grave robbers around in those days, but they weren't interested in bodies. Later in history, in the 18th century in Europe, there would be body snatchers who stole bodies from tombs to sell to medical students, but this didn't happen in 1st century Palestine. In those days, grave robbers were after the jewels and spices that were left in the tomb with the dear departed. They'd have left Jesus' body. So perhaps the only conclusion is that there was a group of extremely dim-witted grave robbers who decided to rob a tomb, and for some strange reason they chose the only tomb in the whole of Judea that was guarded that night. In fact, if they'd waited until the following evening, they could have walked in and nobody would have stopped them. Having somehow got past the guards, rolling their heavy stone away without attracting any attention whatsoever, they slipped into the tomb and took the body home with them, leaving the valuable spices behind. When they got home and realised what they'd done, they must have felt like real idiots. No, that can't be right. There has to be a better explanation. But one thing is for certain, the body could not have been stolen.